Good day, Dr. Tan Wai Hong. We are from Group 36. Today, we would like to present our FYP1 project titled The Influence of Digital Subscription Models on Consumer Spending Behavior Among Gen Z in Malaysia. Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Wanarazrin Migimio Muhammad Razali and my matric number is A22A1200. Today, I would like to present the background of the study. Our study focuses on how digital subscription models influence consumer spending behavior among Gen Z in Malaysia. In the past, digital subscriptions mainly gave access to services like streaming and e-books through recurring fees. But today, the model has evolved. According to Kang et al. 2024, digital subscription is a premium business model where users pay monthly or yearly for access to digital content. In Malaysia, this trend is growing quickly due to higher smartphone usage, better internet access, and demand for on-demand content. Gen Z, born between 1997 and 2012, is the most active digital generation. They value convenience, flexibility, and personalization, which match well with subscription services. However, different pricing models like all-inclusive or partition pricing affect how Gen Z perceive value and manage their spending. Since Gen Z prefers access over ownership, understanding these behaviors can help companies and policymakers improve pricing and engagement strategies.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Narina Najah binti Abdul Wahab and my number matric is A22A1212. I'm going to talk about the problem statement. In Malaysia, digital subscription have become very common among Gen Z. They rely a lot on platforms that offer convenience and personalization. However, there is still a lack of understanding about how specific features like personalization, ease of payment, and cancellation flexibility actually influence their spending behavior. Most previous study only look at the technological side or the overall concept of subscription models, but very few focus on Gen Z financial habits such as how they manage their budget or make purchasing decision. Since Gen Z are now the most active digital consumer, it's important to explore their behavior in more detail. This can emphasize the need for a deeper understanding of the psychological and behavioral effect of digital subscription among Gen Z.
Well, for the next part is a research question. There are four type of question that we're going to discuss in this subtopic. The first one is what types of digital subscription services are most frequently used by Malaysian Gen Z consumer, and the next one is how did the digital subscription influence Gen Z consumer overall spending habits and budgeting decision. The next one is how do subscriptions features such as personalization, ease of payment, and cancellation flexibility affect Gen Z consumer purchase decisions. And lastly, what psychological and behavioral factor that contribute to Gen Z or influence the Gen Z consumer tendency to maintain multiple digital subscription?
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nur Farhani binti Ma'daud and my matric number is A22A1234. I will present research objective. This study has four main research objectives. The first objective is to identify the type and frequency of digital subscription service used by Generation Z in Malaysia. The second objective is to determine the relationship between digital subscription model and Gen Z spending habit and budget management. The third objective is to examine the relationship between subscription features such as personalization, payment convenience, and cancellation flexibility with Gen Z purchasing decision. And lastly, the fourth objective is to explore the psychological and behavioral factors that influence Gen Z decision to subscribe.
Hello everyone, my name is Madhusni, daughter of Maimana. My matric number is A22A1240. For the scope of our study, we are focusing on Malaysia Generation Z, specifically individuals born between 1997 and 2005 who are active digital users. Our participants are young adults who currently have or have had a digital subscription within the last 6 months. This research covers three main categories of digital subscriptions: entertainment platforms such as Netflix and Spotify, productivity software like Microsoft 365 and Canva, and lifestyle applications including fitness, music, and news app, which we aim to study how the small and recurring subscription affect their monthly budget, impulse buying, and savings in the long term. The study also highlights 3 key factors that keep users subscribed: personalized recommendations, easy on-click payments, and the cancel anytime feature that actually encourages users to stay. Finally, our data will be collected through online questionnaires among undergraduates and raising rates from both public and private universities across Malaysia. This will help us understand the spending habits of Malaysia upcoming working generation.
This study is significant in several ways. Theoretically, it extends models like TAM and UTAUT to digital subscription settings. It looks at factors such as perceived convenience, cost, security, innovativeness, and social influence to explain how Gen Z manage their subscription spending. Practically, the findings will help digital service providers and marketers create better pricing strategies, improve the user experience, and encourage responsible spending by offering convenient and secure subscription services. Socially, the study highlights why Malaysia should move towards a digital economy and cashless society. It also provides guidance for policymakers and educators to improve digital and financial literacy among young consumers. Overall, this research bridges technology, finance, and consumer behavior, helping us understand how subscriptions influence Gen Z in today's digital era.
Definition of term. Consumer purchase decision refer to the process where consumer identify their needs, do some research, evaluate alternative, and finally make a purchase. In this study, it shows how Gen Z evaluates the value and cost before subscribing to a digital service. Their decisions are influenced by factors like price, personalization, ease of payment, and cancellation flexibility. For personalization, it means creating experience and content based on user individual preferences and behavior. For example, platforms like Netflix, Spotify, and YouTube, they use algorithms to recommend what user might like. Ease of payment refers to how fast, simple, and secure the payment process is. Features like automatic billing, fast transaction, and secure access make it convenient for user. For instance, Netflix and Spotify offer automatic renewals and multiple payment options. When payment is smooth, consumers feel more satisfied and are more likely to continue their subscription, especially Gen Z who prefer cashless and seamless payment system. Lastly, for cancellation flexibility, it means how easily user can cancel or modify their subscription without any penalty or long process. This feature builds trust and confidence because users feel more in control of their spending. For example, Netflix and Spotify allow users to cancel or pause subscription anytime with just one click.
Moving forward to the organization of proposal. There are 3 chapters in this subtopic. The first one is chapter 1, which is the introduction, introduce the research background, problem statement, objective, question, scope, and significance, focusing on how digital subscription models influence Gen Z consumer in Malaysia. And for the chapter 2, review relevant theories, consumer behavior studies, and digital subscription trends, highlighting the research gap and significance of the study. And lastly, for the chapter 3, explain the research, design, sampling methods, data collection and analysis procedure, ensuring the study is conducted systematically and reliably proven.
Next, Chapter 2, Literature Review. For introduction, digital subscription have become part of daily life, offering access to streaming, music, gaming, and learning platform. In Malaysia, with over 97% internet user, Generation Z is the most active and tech-savvy group. Their subscription service influence their spending habits and budgeting behavior. Therefore, this study aims to examine how digital subscription models affect the spending behavior of Generation Z in Malaysia, focusing on types, frequency, and psychological factor in influencing their decision.
For the underpinning theory, our study is based on 4 major theories that help explain Generation Z's behavior towards digital subscription in Malaysia. The first in the technology acceptance model, or TAM, introduced by Davis in 1989. This model explains that people's willingness to use a system depends on how useful and easy it is to use. In our context, Gen Z values platforms that are convenient, user-friendly, and provide easy access to digital content. The second theory is the unified theory of acceptance and use of technology, or UTAUT. This theory highlights factors factors like performance expectancy, efforts expectancy, social influence, and facilitating conditions for Malaysian Gen Z. Peer recommendation and social media play a big role in influencing subscription decisions. The third is behavior economical theory, particularly prospect theory by Kahneman and Tversky. It explains how small recurring payments such as 15 ringgit per month feel insignificant, causing users to underestimate total spending. The cancel anytime feature also reduces the fear of loss, encouraging retention. Lastly, the theory of planned behavior by agent shows that attitudes, social norms, and perceived control shapes intentions. Gen Z's positive attitude towards convenience and flexibility drives their intention to subscribe. Together, these theories combine psychological, technological, and economic aspects to explain how Gen Z makes digital subscription decisions in Malaysia's cashless economy.
For this slide, I will summarize previous studies related to our research. First, consumer purchase decisions of Gen Z and millennials are influenced by convenience, product quality, promotions, brand trust, and online experience. With the growth of e-commerce, businesses must adapt their marketing strategies to suit these tech-oriented generations. Second, personalization in subscription services improve customer satisfaction and retention. Using consumer data to offer personalized recommendations help engage users, but it must be combined with data protection to maintain trust. Platform differences also matter. For example, Netflix users respond more to personalized suggestions than Spotify users. Third, the ease of payment is important. Subscription models that offer automated recurring payments and flexible cancel anytime option reduce transaction stress, increase convenience, and improve customer retention. Finally, cancellation flexibility is a key factor in consumer behavior. Allowing users to cancel anytime reduces perceived financial risk, builds trust, and encourages long-term satisfaction. It also helps combat subscription fatigue, keeping users engaged and loyal to the service.
Next, I will explain the hypothesis of the study. A hypothesis is a statement that predicts a possible relationship between two or more variables. In this research, each hypothesis was developed based on the research objective. The first hypothesis suggests a positive relationship between personalization and consumer purchasing decision among Gen Z in Malaysia. The second hypothesis focuses on a positive relationship between ease of payment and purchasing decision. Meanwhile, the third hypothesis looks at a positive relationship between cancellation flexibility and purchasing decision. All of these hypotheses help us understand how different features of digital subscription influence Gen Z purchasing decision.
Next is the conceptual framework. Well, in this subtopic, there are two variables. The first one is independent variable and the next one is the dependent variable. For independent variable, there are three: personalization, ease of payments, and cancellation flexibility. These three all connected to the dependent variable, which is a consumer purchasing decision.
So, conclusion for Chapter 2. This chapter reviews how digital subscription models influence the purchasing behavior of Malaysian Gen Z. The study highlights personalization, payment convenience, and cancellation flexibility as main factor affecting purchase decision, supported by technology acceptance model, unified theory of acceptance and use of technology, behavior economy theory, and theory of planned behavior. The framework explains how psychological, social, and technological factors shape spending habits. Further research is needed to understand other factors that may affect Gen Z subscription choice.
Chapter 3 discusses the research methodology used in our study. We apply a quantitative descriptive correlation designed to examine the effects of digital subscriptions model on Gen Z spending behavior in Malaysia. Data were collected through online questionnaires from respondents aged 18 to 29 across Peninsula and East Malaysia. This chapter also explains the research design, population sampling methods, measurement scales, and data analysis techniques such as descriptive statistics and correlation test. Finally, ethical consideration like the informed consent and data and anonymity were included to ensure the study reliability and validity.
For this study, we use a quantitative research design. Specifically, the study looks at three independent variables: personalization, ease of payment, and cancellation flexibility, and how they affect the dependent variable consumer spending behavior. A descriptive and correlational design was adopted to outline the characteristics of Gen Z consumers and determine the role of each factor in their spending habits. Data will be collected using a structured online questionnaire with a 5-point Likert scale, targeting respondents aged 18 to 27 who are active users of online subscription services. The collected data will be analyzed using SPSS to perform descriptive statistics, correlation, and regression analysis, ensuring that the results are objective, measurable, and reliable. This design allows us to clearly understand how Gen Z engage with digital subscriptions and manage their spending.
Data collection method. For this study, we use primary data collected through structured questionnaire using Google Forms. Primary data is chosen because it helps measure attitudes, perception, and behavior of Gen Z consumer. The survey was shared through WhatsApp and Telegram, and 140 Gen Z respondents from Malaysia participated. All responses were exported to Microsoft Excel and analyzed using SPSS software. Descriptive statistics were applied to identify patterns and trends in digital subscription usage and spending behavior among Gen Z. In this study, 3 main scales of measurements were used: nominal, ordinal, and interval. Nominal scale categorized data without any numerical order. For example, gender and current status. These are analyzed using frequency, percentage, and chi-square tests. Next, the second one is ordinal scale. The ordinal scale ranks data in order, but the differences between each category are not equal. Example, age, education level, monthly allowance, and frequency of using digital subscription. Analysis includes frequency, percentage, and median. Last is interval scale. The interval scale uses numerical data with equal distance between value, but 0 is relative. In this study, section B and C use a 5 Likert scale with strongly disagree to strongly agree. This analysis using mean, correlation, and regression.
Next is study population. For the target group for our project is Malaysian Generation Z. They are ranged age from 18 until 37, and the profile for this target group are students, young working adult in both Peninsula and East Malaysia. And some of the reasons for this selection are because it is the most digitally active generation, as we know, and they are among the earliest adopters of online subscription services, such as, for example, like Netflix, Spotify, YouTube Premium, Disney Plus, gaming and e-learning, and so on. And lastly is a heavy user of mobile apps and internet services by Decision Lab 2024.
Next is sample size. This study focused on Malaysia Generation Z population as they are the most active users of digital subscription service. A random sampling technique was applied to ensure that every Gen Z member had an equal chance to be selected. This method helped increase the validity and reliability of the research findings because the data collected can represent the actual population more accurately. In total, 140 respondents were selected through online questionnaires distributed across Malaysia.
For sampling, we use non-probability convenience sampling combined with snowball sampling to require Gen Z respondents aged 18 to 29 who have active digital subscriptions. Convenience samplings allow us to distribute the questionnaire quickly through accessible digital channels like WhatsApp, Telegram, and Instagram, mainly targeting university students and young professionals. Snowball sampling help expand the sample beyond our immediate networks and reach different Gen Z subgroups. A minimum of 140 respondents was targeted based on ratio rule of thumb to ensure sufficient statistical power for correlation analysis. While this method limits generalist testability, it provides a solid exploratory understanding of Gen Z spending patterns.
For this study, the main research tool used is a structured questionnaire. The questionnaire is designed to measure the relationship between digital subscription models and consumer spending behavior among Generation Z in Malaysia. It consists of 4 sections. Section A covers demographic details such as gender, age, education level, and frequency of using digital subscriptions. Section B focuses on the dependent variable, which is consumer spending behavior. Section C measures the independent variables, including personalization, ease of payment, and cancellation flexibility. Finally, Section D gathers information in how much the respondents spend on digital subscriptions. Section A use closed-ended questions, meanwhile D use open-ended questions, while sections B and C use a 5-point Likert scale, ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree.
For this part, I will explaining about measurement of variables. Measurement variables refer to the characteristics that can be quantified. They are important because they help researchers monitor changes, identify trends, and draw conclusions based on numerical data. I will explain descriptive analysis. And descriptive analysis converts raw data into a form that is easier to understand. It summarizes large data sets into simple statistics such as frequency, percentage, mean, mode, and standard deviation. This analysis is used to study two main things. First, the demography of the respondent, and second, consumer spending behavior on digital subscription. It helps provide an overview of the data distribution and identify key trends that help researchers make informed decisions. Next, I'll be talking about Spearman's rank correlation analysis. This method measures the strength and direction of the relationship between two variables. A positive correlation means both variables increase or decrease together, while a negative correlation means one increase as the other one decrease. This is a non-parametric technique, meaning it's valid even if the data is not normally distributed. The correlation coefficient, known as RS or Spearman's rho, helps researchers determine whether the relationship is positive, negative, or shows no correlation at all.
And lastly, for my part, is the procedure for data analysis. There are a few analyses in this project. The first one is data analysis. Data collected via Google Forms, and we export it into the Microsoft Excel and then import it into SPSS. And for the data screening, we use this data screening for identifying incomplete or inconsistent responses, and those invalid or outline responses will be removed to ensure data integrity. And lastly, the data coding applied by assigning numeric values for analysis. Next is the descriptive analysis. We summarize all the demographic data such as gender, age, education level, and monthly income by describing digital subscription and spending pattern of their personal use. Uses frequency, percentage, mean, and standard deviation to show data distribution, helps identify spending trends across different subscription services across the world, and provide insight into overall characteristic of Gen Z consumer. Next is a reliability analysis, measuring internal consistency of Likert scale, question item, and construct tested personalization, ease of payment, and cancellation flexibility, and consumer purchasing decision from batch alpha, or we call it as alpha, used to determine reliability. While alpha is equal to or greater than 0.70 indicate acceptability reliability, and construct with low reliability will be reviewed and revised before final interpretation. Next is the Spearman's rank correlation analysis. As we can see in this table, there are 5 correlation coefficient, or we call it as RS. And we can see from 0 to 0.19 is very weak, and 0.2 until 0.39 considered as weak, 0.4 until 0.59 moderate, and so on. And lastly, for my part is the multiple linear regression, or MLR, by determining how personalization, ease of payment, and cancellation flexibility by predict consumer purchasing decision. So for the equation is equal to Y equal to as we can see in the equation, and all these tested include F test by overall model significance, and T test by individual variable significance, and lastly R2 R square, proportion of variance in purchase decision explained by predictors. That's all for me. Thank you.
Conclusion for Chapter 3. This chapter explains the overall research methodology used in the study, including the population sampling research instrument, data collection, and analysis method. The data were collected through an online survey among Malaysia Gen Z consumer and analyzed using description statistic, reliability test, and Spearman correlation. The method ensures that the findings are valid and reliable. Overall, the result provide a better understanding of Gen Z spending habit and how personalization, payment convenience, and cancellation flexibility influence their purchasing decision.